from washing cars to managing the lot to jumping into additional marketing that you need to grow your business. This is the kind of founder we've got on the show next. Founders that have come from literally nothing and worked their way into an environment where they became the expert. They became the one who knew how to fix the problems. They knew how to solve problems. I love this founder today. We have got Jimmy Kim on the show today, and he's going to be talking to you about what it takes to scale from a top of funnel point of view. And I love what he's done. Not only what he does for other clients, but what he does for his business. And he's had to make some really hard decisions. You know, decisions that most founders don't like to think about, but they probably should. And so listen to this episode with a lot of interest, because what you're going to find is that building and growing a business has very few moments where you sit back and say, aren't things going awesome? Jimmy Kim exposes a lot of the thoughts and decisions that he goes through and has had to go through in order to grow and scale his business to where it's at today, which is phenomenal. He's seen a massive growth, big widespread adoption, and many of you have probably seen the results of his efforts in your inbox. So get ready to listen to this episode, and I hope you learn some tips and tricks that are going to make your experience in growing and scaling that much easier. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the Growth and Scaling Podcast. This is your host, Todd Westra, and I am so glad you're here today because we are going to interview an amazing founder or executive who is going to share with us their decisions that they made that exploded their growth. So if you need some inspiration, you want to hear how other businesses are doing it, this is a place to be, and we are glad you're here. Enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to this episode. I am so happy to have Jimmy Kim on the episode today because Jimmy is a man after my own heart. He loves sending to leads. He's a lead master. He knows how to talk to him. He knows how to capture. He knows how to build a call to action. Jimmy's got a lot going on in his head, and I cannot wait to get into this interview because he helps people grow and build their marketing machines and generate those initial leads that his salespeople need to grow. So, Jimmy, let's jump in, man. Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, Todd. Thank you for having me here today on the show. Very, very excited to be here and to share share some wisdom and learnings and pains and everything that I have. But my name is Jimmy Kim.
All of it.
I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sendlane.com. That's what we do. We're an email and SMS marketing automation platform for e-commerce merchants. So so how did this all start? I think it's always interesting because I look back and, though Sendlane is what I do today, it wasn't what I always did, of course. And I've gone through a lot of careers. I actually started my life in the car business, actually. I started off actually washing cars, going to selling cars, and eventually being a general manager of 3 Saturn stores. This is way back in the day, 2007, 2006, 2005. So that was my first career.
Wow.
And, I did it at a very young age, and I was very successful at it that I would have never known that would have happened for me, right? But I would say that was my first life, right? So then...
Car washer to 3 GMs. I mean, that's awesome.
It was cool, man. It was something special. A lot of people under me, and I learned a lot from service to, finance to down to just raw sales, mechanics, everything around it. And, I always fell in love with it. So,
love it.
Anyways, that was my first.
Dude,
that was my first life. And then
that alone is a success story. I mean, that's awesome.
Thank you. So I made my first pivot when I said in 2008 that I didn't want to do this anymore. I wanted to go do something else. So I ended up jumping into a company, and I knew the founder and the CEO at that time, and I went to him and said, "Look, I'm not here to be your lifelong employee. I'm going to tell you up front." I told him that I am very good at operating and I understand how to run a business, but I need to learn how to do digital.
Yeah.
And so if you teach me digital, I'll help you learn how to operate your business. And that's kind of the barter we made. So 3 years together, we worked. I helped him flip across a lot of debt that he had into profits, and we really created a smooth operating machine. And with that, I launched my own first business. So my first business, I started off by teaching people how to make money online. I was teaching people how to build businesses, essentially, build an email list, and then also mail them and make money off of it through affiliate marketing. So That was my first business. As that business evolved, it became a software business once I realized that I needed to solve my own problems. So things like click tracking, creating ebook covers. And so that business eventually evolved into a software company. At that same time, I invested in a little clothing brand. A friend of mine needed a PO that needed to be covered for Pacific Sunwear. And I had some money and I said, okay, I'll cover that for you. But once I put some money in there, I realized that I was more interested in it, and eventually became a partner of the company. And we started to grow this brand. It was a men's streetwear brand. It was cut and sew, made in the USA. We had a lot of brand celebrities, famous people and stuff wearing our clothes. But that was a really fun journey, and we did that for several years. So about 4 years in the world, I was building a D2C brand. Started off in retail, went completely full to e-commerce at the end. That's obviously me. Showed up and said, why aren't we doing e-commerce? And so we got online, and then we realized that the retail side wasn't making money, and everything online was. So, we did that.
And retail is such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. So, e-commerce is too. So, either way, they have their own challenges, of course. That was that. And that's kind of where Sendlane derived all out of. So all that story I just told you about, the brand and my other business and everything else, I needed a tool, and it was this weird story where me and my co-founders of this company, we initially were sitting at a table. None of us worked together, but we worked in the same markets, and we sat down and said, we need something better, guys. Let's do something. And we didn't know. We were young entrepreneurs and probably thought things were easier than they were. And I'll tell you, we thought they were way easier. And we said, oh yeah, we'll just throw some money in together and we'll build this little platform. And we did that, right? It cost a lot more money than we thought it would, but we ended up building this platform, built for us, built for no one else. And that's kind of where the birth of Sendlane happened. And then as I look forward into, what happened from there, and this is when the snowball in 2017, I decided that I was bored of my cash generating business. So a generating business that was probably making me about $1 million net in my pocket a year. And I just said, this just isn't big for me. I can't see bigger than this. It's boring. It's not giving me the fuel. And then I had some creative differences with my partner at my clothing store at that time, because I wanted to scale bigger and he didn't want to scale as big. So, we just got into a place, and I said, you know what, I need to do something different. So that's when the day Sendlane was born in 2017. And then basically the rest is history. We basically from there, we knew we had an immediate product market fit, went and sold on it so we can raise our seed fund, raise our seed raise, and then knew that we had to build this brand new platform. So we built the new platform, got it going, proof of concept, things moving, and then we got our Series A. And then, over the last 18 months since then, and what's that called again? We had to learn a lot of pain to figure out some of the repeatable things to get growth and scale and engine going on GTM. And then eventually, we recently just raised our Series B even in this market, and we're still accelerating. So, as I say this, in January, we hired 23 people. So we're still moving forward. And it's because of our unique position in the market. Our competitors have outpriced us with all these price increases essentially, and we are delivering a better service and a better product for significantly cheaper, and not because I wanted to, because they priced me out there, and it's helping us win deals. And that's basically where we are today, I guess.
I love it.
So
I love it. So many people look at the digital marketing space, and especially the space that you're in. When people, it's almost like voodoo magic, and a lot of people just care not to know about how this whole world works in that ecosystem. But those of us that have been in there, and I spent a good 11, 12 years not only building campaigns and marketing leads and doing a lot of customer service and all that kind of stuff, all the elements that go into what you do, it is a fascinating thing. And you're right, there aren't very many solutions out there that people can jump to really find a reliable place to send, to receive, to kind of build that lead ladder where they need to funnel these things in, put them into the right places, retarget them, remarket to them. And now that SMS is a big part of the game, it only makes that game so much more fun, in my opinion. And so I'm so proud of you, man. I love what you built.
Thank you.
This journey, it sounds like you've been from, literally from car washer to where you're at now. What would you say is the point in that journey where you thought, dude, this thing is fun. Like, this is just really fun.
You know, it's fun. And my mentor talks to me about this as well too. And, different people tell me this, but as a founder, what's weird is you don't get to enjoy the things that you've done until you look back often. It doesn't make sense because you live in the you can't live in the moment as a founder because your job is to live in the present and in the future. And for many times in the moment, you're living in the future. So though things are going freaking well right now, all I can do is worry and concern myself about the future. And so I would say the biggest learning is actually a historical learning, because I always look back and I go, wow, that was a good time. And that was a great time. What was I doing that during that time? Why don't I do more of that? Right. So that would be the better way of saying it for me, because I can't say that as a founder. Like, I'm sure anyone who's listening to this as a founder can relate to that statement. Like, it's tough. It's tough to enjoy the moment. It's hard for me to celebrate because all I think about next is what's that next thing I got to win, or else I'm not going to get there. Right.
Dude, I love it. You speak so much about that founder mindset, and we as founders of companies, and as founders of companies that have grown and scaled, especially, there's pivotal moments where you're like, okay, is this really worth it? Now, what's been one of those moments where you looked at what you're building right now and you said, okay, this challenge, it just sucks. How am I gonna beat this thing? What was that thing in your experience in growing and scaling?
There's so many things I could say on that one. I think one of the hardest things that always are tough when you're thinking about like the journey is not just the people, the funding rounds and everything else, but it starts with the top, right? I'm talking about like the co-founder side of things. I had some co-founder conflict in the early days, and it wasn't that because I didn't love the guy. It wasn't because we were the greatest of friends. We just didn't see eye to eye eventually. And I think one of the pivotal moments of our company was, it was 2019, so it's been long enough that the pain's not there, of course, anymore. We've all moved on, but like we had to make the hard decision. It was me or him kind of deal, right? Like that's where we got to, and that was probably the most pivotal thing. It was one of us are going to lead it, and one of us needs to walk away because this ain't working for our friendship, and we're hurting the company because of it. And that was one of the toughest things that came into place. And I would say, pivotal wise, that was probably a big pivotal decision, and it's no different than anything else, like a relationship or anything else. Like, it's hard and no one wants to do it, but I would say that was my most pivotal thing that I've had to deal with within this journey of this one. Dude. However, as the dust settled, everyone got better. We're all still friends. We all still love each other. We laugh and giggle. And, they thank me. I think the best part is he thanks me that it was the right move, and he knows that because he says no one would have been able to do it with me, right? So he gets it, right? So it's a learning, but it's also pivotal for sure.
So Jimmy, I mean, I would say that the majority of people that have a partner in their business right now have those moments where they're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, when you hit that, like, what did you do to, if you were to do it over again, what do you think is the one thing that you would do differently to kind of prepare for that moment a little bit better?
The biggest lesson of this business and the funniest thing is that first day formation and that cap table. That cap table would have been way different from the beginning. So my earliest and number one lesson I've learned is that make people truly, I know it sounds horrible. What do you mean you got to vest in my own company that I'm a co-founder of? Vest him. Right. Trust me. Next time, 100%. Anybody, even myself, I need to be vesting too. Like, it's only fair for the future of the business and to be a real business that has a chance to succeed. Right? So, yeah, my thing is going all the way from day one. I know that you and me are friends and we're equals, yada, yada, yada. But I'm sorry, Todd, someone's got to be majority. Someone's got to be the final say. Totally. Someone's got to be the decision maker. And I will tell you that was probably our early hindrance and something that I've learned really hard from this company's journey. And I will never make that mistake into the future.
I love it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I had a partnership for 11 years, 10, 11 years. And we were both grateful that somewhere early on, we kind of had an exit strategy. We kind of started talking about it and just that conversation about, dude, if we ever decide to exit this thing, what is that going to look like? And how does it work for both of us? And when it finally came time to where, to be honest, like, we both admitted that after 2 years, we kind of outgrew each other.
Yeah,
we really didn't need. Either one of us could have taken the business and run. And so after 10 years or so, it was like, yeah, dude, I want to go build something big, you know. And he's like, well, you know, if you're out, I'll take over. And it was
that
a
whole
very
legal
easy
thing
transition.
at the start. I know it sounds painful, but do the legal thing. That's basically what I'm saying, is be better about that and be smarter about it. So yeah.
I love it, dude. That's a beautiful story. And I think that is a pain that a lot of people have to deal with when it takes a conversation about, you know, what does it take to scale? Sometimes it's cutting some fat. Sometimes it's loosening some overhead up that really isn't adding value and putting it into some place that is.
Absolutely.
Kind of sounds mean.
It is, but you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of things in business that are harsh, right? Like, you know, as you scale, your day ones no longer, you know, a lot of your day ones exit over time. It's just normal, right? They're just different stage people. In that early day, you need a generalist, then you need specialist, then you need, you know, more scale, right? There's different types of people. And it's sad always, like I will say, like what you just said, like you're right, it is, but it is obviously empathetically, I'm sad because you look at it and you're like, I wish they could have been part of the entire journey with me. But the reality is that's just not how it works, right? That's not how life works. Nor is it how humans work.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Now, as you look out in your network, you talked a little bit about having a mentor. I love giving shout outs, and I think it's good for other founders to hear that, you know, this guy, Jimmy, just built this amazing software company and his technology and stuff like that. But like, who did you lean on? Like, there's always somebody outside the company that you look at and says, oh my gosh, man, they really helped me kind of to get through this.
I mean, this is good timing. I'm writing him an email for our call tomorrow for our agenda of our call. So I would say I have two types of mentors right now. If I were to say who are the people you listen to most out in the network, I would listen to Brett Fox. That's my CEO coach mentor. He helps me. He trains, you know, mostly psychological. He listens to me and all that good stuff. He's been a huge asset over the last 3.5 years now. So it's been a great ride, and I don't plan to leave his side. I mean, he's done this job many times, and it's true. Experience really helps. And then I have my silent mentor, and my silent mentor is just someone I look up and I say, I know there's like names, but I always look up Jason Lemkin. I'm sure you know who that might be. He's a he's SaaStr founder, CEO, and he's just inspirational. I think that I always say that his social media talks to me because sometimes he says things that are on top of my head anyways, because he's a founder and he gets it, right? He's done the founder job a couple times and he's just saying the same thing. And I have learned one thing with scale is like the same problems that you had under early stage show up. They're just a different format or the different version add that same problem later on, right? It's the same thing that happens. And that's why it feels like it's always relevant no matter what scale I'm at. And that's basically what he talks about. So I would say those two are pretty awesome people in the world, and they're helping the world move forward. At least they've helped me move forward. And I'm, you know, so I would say that's awesome.
Love it. I love it, man. Dude, way to go. First of all, I just want to say, dude, I'm super proud of you. There's a lot of people that are in that space that you're in who just get icky. You know what I mean? They start playing with shady parts of the email network world, and they just kind of get into places where they probably shouldn't be. And you have been able to come into that, look at it, evaluate where you want to be, and position yourself where you're out of the ick and you're into the practical, which I've always thought that industry has very practical skill sets that if applied to the right place, it's a completely above board, really cool business to be in.
Yeah, it's actually helping businesses make real revenue. It's actually really fun to see these companies, you know, communicate with their customers, have two-way conversations, and then sell them and close them. Like, I'm like, how cool. We're helping these businesses actually grow, you know? So I know what you mean though, Todd. Like mostly it's a lot of bad spam newsletter, different things that if you're not like verticalizing into a place, but yeah, we've created a solution where email is a part of the feature, but the rest of it, right? The segmentation engine and all that good stuff is really important too.
Love it. Love it. Dude, awesome. Hey, how do people get a hold of you? What if someone wants to kind of catch up with you?
Yeah, I'm in two places I exist mostly in the world. LinkedIn, if you look me up, not a hard name to find me, Jimmy Kim. I've got a following. I post quite often there. And I also am on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at YoJimmyKim.com. Jimmy Kim, so Yo Jimmy Kim, YO. So you can find me there, and I tweet pretty often up there too. So those are my social networks. That's where you'll find me. Obviously, you always find me at the company at Sendlane.
Love it.
Sendlane.com as well too.
Love it. Jimmy, I have a feeling you're going to be a guest on my LinkedIn Lives coming up here shortly, because I just think we got there's a lot of cool stuff we can talk about to help businesses grow and scale their businesses. So thank you so much for sharing your bits with us. And I hope people do reach out because it's inspiring. I loved everything you said today. It was just a beautiful, beautiful step into what it does take to scale. And I appreciate you sharing with us.
Thanks, Todd.
Man. So how cool was that? I mean, Jimmy Kim is more than meets the eye, in my opinion. There's a world that he's navigated through over the past decade and a half that most people don't even know exists. And that world is top of funnel marketing. It is growing and scaling businesses through email, text messaging, and other traditional methods that a lot of people think are dead. Jimmy and I can both tell you, having had a lot of experience in the same part of the world as him, that this is not a dead thing. Top of funnel marketing is so important. You need to constantly be dumping leads into your funnel so that you can nurture them, you can grow them into the type of leads that convert to your best clients. So, but what about Jimmy's business? How hard was that to have to negotiate a buyout that may not have been so comfortable at the time, but needed to happen in order to grow and scale his business? Sometimes having too many chefs in the kitchen gets hard. And Jimmy was able to express in a deep and respectful way to his co-founders how he was able to move on from that uncomfortable situation into what is now a time where they could both relate to how good it was that they separated and how he was able to grow the business so much faster, having that unified vision and the direction that his company needed to grow. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. For me, I felt like he was speaking to me in so many ways and telling my story, having come from a very similar background in marketing. So thank you so much for enjoying this episode. I hope that you have taken something from it that is going to help you know what it takes to grow and scale your business.